G'day skateboarders, Michael Mulhall here. The 9th of January 2023 marks the 20th anniversary of the passing of Australian skateboarding legend John "Finn" Finlay. Finn and I first met in 1982 at North Ryde Skate Park along with his close friend John Gray. In the late 80s we were teammates on Cockroach Wheels Australia, and in the early 90s we co-produced Screenzine's skateboard video magazine. In the time since Finn's passing, we've also lost Cronulla legends Matt "Hoffy" Hoffman and Ken "Gibbo" Gibbons, both of whom were Five Dock Skate Park locals and later in the 80s became professional skateboarders in their own right. Hoffy being sponsored by Cockroach Wheels Australia and Gibbo being sponsored by Bonza Skates, having his own pro model deck on that company. Another Five Dock local and Hurstville skateboarding legend Zelko Korasic, who worked for Skateboard World for many years and had a pro model on Ace Skates. Melbourne skateboarding legend Brett 1T Connolly, who did his utmost to support professional Australian skateboarders as they travelled around Australia and other parts of the world. One of the most colourful people in skateboarding history, a global and Australian icon, Sin Agelia. In the early 80s, Sin was sponsored by Tim Dawes Aussie Skates, and in the mid 80s became a co-founder and shoe designer for Airwalk shoes. People would later recognise Sin as Vic from the Airwalk ads and also the shoe itself. Canberra skateboarding legend Todd Webster, who did his utmost to support the local skateboarding scene and integral in the construction of Belconnen Skate Park. Australian professional street skating legends Shane Cross and Lewis Marnell, who both had a huge impact on street skating globally and will always be an inspiration to Australian skateboarders. Melbourne and global vert skating legend and sensation Ben Pappas. Adelaide skateboarding legend Tim Dorfus McDougall, who was one of Australia's most powerful skateboarders and integral in the construction of a lot of skate parks that have been built around Australia in the last 20 years. Sydney skateboarding legend and icon Grant "Biff" Murdoch, who was one of Australia's first professional skateboarders to have a pro model board with Ace Skates, that board being in production through various shapes and graphics for a 25-year period. Biff was often considered one of the most stylish skateboarders in Australian skateboarding history. Sydney skateboarding legend Gerald Lopez, who was a Manly Skate City local along with his close friends Grant "Biff" Murdoch and John Fox. Sydney skateboarding legend who later moved to Canberra and became renowned for his unique street skating abilities, Tony Mann. Just in the last few days we've learned of the passing of Australian and Manly skateboarding and surfing legend Dwayne Hecketer. He was one of Australia's first professional skateboarders, being sponsored by Tim Dawes Aussie Skates, along with Dale Halpin, Chris Briggs, Danny Van Verleeuwen, who Dwayne helped get on the team, Sin Agelia, who helped me get on the team, and Simon Reynolds. These are just some of the Australian skateboarders who have passed in the last 20 years. As long as we keep them in our hearts and remember their skateboarding histories, they shall forever remain Australian skateboarding legends.